Hollywood is losing hundreds of millions of dollars on feminist films doomed from their very inception. Remember Disney's biggest flop of all time last year?
I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
No, not Snow White. Ella McCay, the heartfelt tribute to AOC. Now, in 2026, guess which studio said, yeah, we'd like another swing at 12th wave feminist entertainment. And would you believe? It managed to make even Hoppers look good. Hello, folks. Hello, friends. Welcome back and happy Monday. Back to the work week and off we go. Hi ho, hi ho. All we ask as we dive in today is that you click the like button and let's get underway right now. You're looking at Variety. Before the box office results came rolling in, Maggie Gyllenhaal, or is it Gyllenhaal? Gyllenhaal's The Bride is part of a growing wave of feminist horror. Movies that place women's autonomy, rage, and control at the center of the monster story. Experts say it's part of a broader shift redefining who the monster really is. You know, it's the patriarchy. It's dudes. White dudes. Scholar Barbara Creed said, instead of becoming an abject thing, the heroine owns it. And you can see the picture down there. She looks so friendly, right? Okay, well, it's a horror movie. She's supposed to look scary. You know what's more scary than the monster in this one? The box office results. This is what they were talking about, okay? This is what they were talking about. And I'm going to read the article to you, but first I want to go to this from Variety. I want to go to 3 days later. 5 reasons The Bride was dead on arrival at the box office. Corpse Bride, Rebecca Rubin. No, not the movie Corpse Bride. I'm saying that The Bride was a corpse. Okay, that's a little too meta. Variety is saying this, though. This is their autopsy of what happened. Get it? I'm gonna make lots of those puns. Let's get into forensics. It's alive, but it's not exactly showing signs of life. Well, then what? Oh, come on then. The Bride director, Maggie Gyllenhaal's punk rock feminist reinterpretation, there's that F word again, not that one, of The Bride of Frankenstein, flatlined at the box office. Oh no. With $7.3 million domestically and $13.6 million globally? Oh no. That's a terrible result, given that Warner Brothers spent $90 million to produce the R-rated film, not including a reported $65 million on marketing expenses. Folks, let's make the math easy and cut the 5 off. That comes to $150 million. That means, because theaters and Uncle Sam get half, that means that this film needed $300 million. Still does. Needs $300 million to break even. A feminist horror movie. $300 million to break even. And how much has it made? $13.6 million. Do you know what that means? Let's pretend for a moment that somewhere somebody is going to pay them $50 million for the streaming rights. It's not, because it's owned by Warner Brothers. So it'll go to HBO Max. So nobody's paying for it. I guess we can't count that then, can we? No, we really can. I was going to, but we can't. Do you understand how badly this is going to flop? Do you? Oh my gosh, it needs $300 million. And it made 13. It needs like 27 times. And you know what we do here on the channel and on Valiant Renegade is we talk about, can this film do a 3X? Can it do a 5X? And 5X is like awesome. Sucker needs a 27X to break even. Warner Brothers is about to lose and lose badly. Now, I want to show you what they were writing about this before. See, March 6th, you see that? What that means is that the movie hadn't come out yet, okay? And I've already talked about Hoppers. I'm not going to talk about it today. You all know that Hoppers came out and made a horrible amount, $46 million, barely beating Snow White. And Hoppers had 4 days. They don't want to tell you that, but they counted an extra preview day. So, nothing's going well at the box office right now, even if they're trying to tell you otherwise. But this is how they were presenting The Bride, a feminist horror movie. And I'm going to tell you something. If somebody came into my office as an executive at a film company, let's say I'm the head of a studio, and somebody comes in and says, I'm thinking about making a $150 million total spend film It's going to be a feminist horror movie. I think my response can be, get out. Right? Right? Why? Because the same reason if you came in and said, I think I'm going to make a machismo horror movie. I'm going to say, get out. You know why? Because I know what works. Horror movies without that extra thing added on it. That's what works. We're going to make that. This article by Kennedy French came out days before the movie landed in theaters. The Bride is the latest example of a new wave of feminist horror. Experts break down what it says about women and control. She's alive! It didn't last long, did it? Finally, when Maggie Gyllenhaal sat down to rewatch The Bride of Frankenstein, the 1935 James Whale classic, she wasn't prepared for what she didn't see. The bride appears for only 2 minutes. She says nothing. She looks at the creature she was built to love, screams once, and is blown up. She was made for a man who disgusted her, in a world that gave her no say in the matter, and then she was gone. AKA a metaphor for how feminists view the world today, right? That, more or less, is how the story has always ended. And by the way, first wave feminism, that's a different story. We're into many waves now, and it's a whole different ballgame, okay? She finds herself in such an insane situation, Gyllenhaal said in a press conference promoting the film, having been brought back from the dead without her consent to be the wife of someone that she's never met. The absence, a character conjured in existence, denied everything and eliminated, fueled The Bride. Her new film starring Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale, but he regrets that. The film's ambition, in Gyllenhaal's words, is sweeping, a celebration of all the parts of all of us that will not fit into the box that we've been told we need to fit into. The Bride arrives amid a specific cultural appetite for stories like this. Oh, really? Well, if it arrived with a cultural appetite, why did it only make 13.6 million worldwide and 7.3 against a Hoppers movie that's not fighting for the same demographic and which is exceedingly weak also? Sorry, I know some of you want to defend Hoppers. It's going to make maybe a fourth of what Mario's going to make. Sorry, not defending that. Guillermo del Toro's recent Frankenstein reset the moral terms of the myth by building a film in which the creature never harms anyone who hasn't tried to harm him. Every horror traced back to Victor's choices, not his creation's existence. Relatedly, Poor Things pushed Bella Baxter's autonomy to its comic extreme. The Substance turned female rage into a grotesque spectacle and called it empowerment. The Substance, eh? Folks, you ever heard of The Substance? It's another feminist horror film. Because, you know, there's a wave, there's an appetite for this. There it is. There's how it did. You know how it did? 77 million total. 77 million total. That's 17 million domestic, less than 16 million, 60, sorry, less than 60 million international. I'm going to say that didn't break even either. Where's the appetite? They talk about this stuff like it's glowing. Okay, but check this out. It says, together, these films are doing something the Frankenstein myth has rarely allowed, placing the created woman's interiority at the center and asking what she actually wants. Now, let me look into this interiority. What is this? Hang on a second, folks. Let me flip through the pages here. Let's see here. Yep, okay, I just looked through the book. Turns out that interiority is a fancy sophistry word for those who attend gender studies courses and want to sound smart so they don't have to say fifis. Interiority just means fifis, feelings. Feelings, whoa, feelings. Scholars who've made careers of studying horror, feminist theory, and the history of artificial women say the impulse goes far deeper than a single cultural moment and far older than Hollywood. I can't imagine why this film failed. Can you? I'm lying, folks. I'm being facetious. You see, I do have a feeling. Some might call it an interiority. I have a feeling that I get why this film didn't succeed. And it has to do with the fact that it's a feminist horror film. Now, it's not just horror that is suffering under this 12th wave feminism that is driving Hollywood into hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. Remember Walt Disney last year? Snow White thought it was going to be the leading loss loser for the year. Ella McCay said, hold my beer. Ella McCay with a ridiculous budget, crazy spend, hiring people like, famous celebrities, eh? Woody Harrelson, right? Yeah, gotta have him. $4.5 million total gross. This was an AOC send-up. It's a tribute to AOC. Jamie Lee Curtis, right? Big budget, big cost. $4.5 million total box office return. Remember in 2024 when Warner Brothers had their last major mistake. What was the last major mistake? Well, taking the Joker and feminizing it into a musical. How'd that do for them? Well, a film that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make probably lost hundreds of millions of dollars with a worldwide total of only 207, and that only because the first film was something entirely different. That made audiences angry and may have, I believe it did, destroyed Lady Gaga's Hollywood career. Not her singing career, but her Hollywood career. And of course, who can forget the substance that we brought up earlier, right? These feminist films, and it started with Ghostbusters 2016. There's nothing wrong, per se, with films that are all about girl bosses. We love money here, folks. So do studio execs. If they were making money on these things, we'd say, girl, go. Problem is, they're not making money on them. That's the problem, because they're not part of the mainstream middle, the sensible center where money is made. And that brings us to another one of these. Disney lost reportedly $170 million with Snow White, but you know it's way more because this article from Fox Business, based on reporting from Valiant Renegade, Jonas J. Campbell, and Forbes, this article doesn't include the marketing costs, which likely send this spiraling into the $300 million plus category of losers. Wowza. How much more money does Hollywood want to lose on these things? And the reason, of course, is because what these really are is they are taking women and placing them into a quasi-beta male archetype, and then audiences don't want to go watch that because they don't represent anything feminine. They represent something else. They represent taking the hero's journey and forcing the world, instead of themselves to change, forcing the world to change around them. The world is the one that has the problem, not the hero. That's the story of the girl boss. And that doesn't work psychologically with anybody. And audiences are sick of it. They've turned against it. And Hollywood has just about destroyed itself chasing after this kind of stuff. Snow White actually outdone by Ella McCay last year. And they continue to do this. Warner Brothers, this is a big snafu for them. There's no win to be had. There's no win to be had with The Bride. There's only time for studios to say, you know what? We're done with this. And can you imagine if Snow White had come out as it was originally intended, where it was going to be about a socialist liberator? Oh my. You know what? There are still remnants inside that film. They reshot the whole thing. It's crazy. It's wild. There's a scramble going on inside Hollywood right now to get rid of this stuff. You heard about Pixar? Pixar says, nope. We're getting out of therapy films. I got to say, it's time to get away from films that are ideologically captured. And I don't care which way it is, right, left, doesn't matter to me. Leave it in the dustbin because it's going to make you go broke. And at a time when AI is taking over and new media is doubling the number of jobs from traditional media all across the US of A, Hollywood can barely afford to stay alive. Therefore, maybe it's time to say goodbye to all of this crazy, ideological, woke nonsense. Broke? I'm sorry, but there's a reason people say it. It's because it's true. And folks, it's true for The Bride, it's true for AOC's Ella McCay, it's true for Snow White, and it's true for anything else Hollywood may want to bring to you of the same variety. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the story, and we're sticking to it. Why? Because it's true with a capital T. Click the like button, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts on all of this. And folks, if you would be so inclined and you see the hype button, the time is ripe to hit that hype. Until next time, we have the honor, the pleasure, the privilege of spending time together. Keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their, different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney, or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have thunk?